Okay, Scott Narver. So, like, you're telling me 10 to 1.
Yes.
Like 50 to 1.
Yes.
Okay, 100 to 1. 1,000 to 1.
Yes, Jake Lloyd Bacon, what about Against All Odds do you not understand?
Oh, no, I understand the name of the pay-per-view. I'm just trying to find what the odds are of it being any good.
TNA Against All Odds and WWE Clash at the Castle reviews today on Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Hey, Scott Narver.
Hey, Jake Lloyd Bacon.
Hello to everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the PWP, but a very special thanks to those joining us live via the super exclusive patron-only live stream. If you want to watch...
Thanks, I'm in there.
Yeah, you are in there. Thank you for being in there, Scott Narver. We appreciate your support. If you want to get in there and chat with us as... we shoot the shit each and every week, well, then you got to become a patron over at patreon.com/PWPalskis. Patreon.com/PWPalskis. Best way to support the show and to change it and to interact with it and ruin it if that's your motive. Whatever you want to do.
You can be a run-in. You can be a surprise, much like the two shows that we're going to review today that had both those things.
Yeah. And you can also be PWP champ. If you so choose, if you so get lucky enough. Gilbert Short, current PWP champ, a.k.a. Goliathon, in his second month of his current reign. You want to challenge him? Well, you got to become a championship level Palski.
That's how it works.
That is.
So it works. It's exciting. It's part of the programming when we choose one. It's you're on the edge of your Adam Copeland and wondering, will I win?
Is his name Seat?
Yep. You not call him that?
No. I thought his name was Edge, and so you would have been on the Adam Copeland of your seat.
What?
Not the
I thought
Edge
his
of
name
your
used
Adam
to be
Copeland.
Seat.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
Tim Redbeard in the chat. I haven't seen Tim Redbeard in the chat in a while, I feel. Or am I making that up?
And Mike Lucas?
Is he there every week? Yeah,
Boring old Mike Lucas.
Mike's there all the time. Mike up in Yersey. Up in New Jersey.
Which is practically where you are. You're both in the news. You're in the New York. He's in the New Jersey.
I thought you meant like we were both like something horrible has happened. And
yeah.
We're there. We're in the news.
Yeah, we know about what you guys did.
What did we do? I don't know. Mike Lucas, I know, was very excited. At least I think it was Mike Lucas. I might be doing that thing where I'm confusing people from the Discord. But somebody that I think was Mike was very excited to hear your take on Dots Pretzels today on the show. But too bad we did it in the pre-show, so you're going to have to become a patron.
That's pre-show talk. I will allude to, we'll get to it as we tell the stories of, our reviews of both these PLEs or PPVs respectively today, because we're going back into the review well.
Listen,
it was a weekend of shows, and I had watched TNA Against All Odds.
No, wait. I'm sorry.
No way
Are you saying you watched the show called TNA Against All Odds, or you watched TNA Against All Odds?
Or I'm on Tinder, and will I get any TNA, or is it Against All Odds?
I mean, there are a lot of odds. I'll say that.
Yeah,
quite a
they're
few.
Stacked against me.
Tim Redbeard says, that is true, Jake. Life has kept me away. Such a pod blocker. Fucking pod blocker. Well, thanks for joining us again, Tim. Nice having you back. Mike Lucas, Scott watched TNA Against All Will.
That's
pretty cool.
I went in willingly. I threw down the $9.99 to have to have access to TNA Plus for a month or two if I forget to cancel.
And did someone throw in to give you a couple bucks to come sit? Did you split that with a guest?
Warzeka offered to throw in, friend of the show, Mark Warzeka.
Yeah, I didn't want to throw him under the bus if he didn't.
And I was like, that's fine. It's $9.99. And so he had gotten some food. It all works out. Like there's all,
Sure, of course.
it all works out. So, so I watched that on Friday, and then Clash at the Castle, WWE Clash at the Castle, that is, was Saturday. And so I said to Jake, like, wait, why don't we review some shows again? Because they happen, and whatever we saw, we can review and do. But I saw both shows in full.
Great. I did not.
I in no way said, like, Jake, you should watch TNA.
And I appreciate that. But
there's a clip or two that might have been worth watching, but even that I didn't send.
I will say this.
I hope so.
I think I would be upset if I paid for the pay-per-view, because from my perspective, and obviously I don't know what I missed because I didn't pay for it. Maybe that's ultimately arguing against myself.
Which thing are you talking about? Are you talking about TNA?
TNA.
Okay.
Because they just released everything that happened the moment it happened on Twitter in video form. Like their Twitter account is pretty much just the entire pay-per-view, but just the highlights for the entire
Isn't
night.
That what
every
WWE
moment.
Does? Isn't that just the norm anymore?
I don't think so, because I think that they look for those clickable moments, but I don't think they go through like every single. I could be wrong, because here's the reality: is that for WWE, since I have Peacock, I just watch it, so I'm not looking at the Twitter. But for TNA, it's like, yeah, I just logged on to the PWP Twitter at PW Palskis on Twitter and on X. And I just like every moment it was like, this is what happened. This is what just happened. This is what just happened. So I was like, great. I feel like I saw a lot of it.
I feel like that's any major thing anymore, right? Like, look, Piper Niven, she's not emoting. Here it is.
Probably.
Here's Piper Niven. Her arms don't move.
Tim Redbeard, is the $9.99 worth the torture of having Joe Hendry's entrance music stuck in your head? I didn't watch it, and it stuck in my head after hearing it for the first time.
It stuck in Warzeka's head. We both watched him, and he was like, what is this? Who is this? I'm unfamiliar. And he's usually pretty savvy with a lot of guys. I'm like, I've seen it. I've seen people talk about him positively. And watching a full segment of his, watching the music, it didn't stick in my head. It didn't create anything positive. And then this was one of the few things I mentioned on Discord, was he is fighting Frankie Kazarian, and he attempts to insult him by saying, you look like a certain celebrity. You look like a certain actor. And I was like, yeah, he looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And he says, Antonio Banderas. And I said, no, this doesn't work.
That Venn diagram does not exist. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Antonio Banderas, and in the middle of them is fucking Joe Hendry.
And Joe Hendry saying this is insulting, and he's like, "Oh, you think you're this guy, but you're really or you're just the dad from Spy Kids." And I was like, this isn't an insult. And the crowd starts to go, "Dad from Spy Kids," and Kazarian acts upset. I'm going, "What is this? Does he not know that Antonio Banderas is one of the most attractive men on the planet, incredibly successful? The Spy Kids movies are incredibly successful. In no way is this an insult." Yeah. The commentators did more damage to Kazarian by constantly saying how old he was and landmarks of like, Frankie Kazarian was at the first ever, and now it's 85 years later, and here he is.
Right.
Even though he looks amazing.
Sure.
He doesn't look as old as he is, and all the stuff about it. And I was like, Joe Hendry, no, none of this works for me. I'll check in on you again in 4 years.
I don't think I've ever seen a Joe Hendry match, but I have seen 100 Joe Hendry music videos, because that's the stuff that gets shared more so than the actual wrestling. And that could be a good thing if he's also a really good wrestler, but I don't know that.
I would say he's not. I'm sure in the current age of fandom that people are like, yeah, he's awesome.
Right.
He's very obvious. He's very, he telegraphs a bunch.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot of moments where I'm trying to give a good example of something I saw in a ring, but boy, was a lot of it forgettable. So let's just use this as an example that didn't happen in the match.
Right.
A he's the type of guy that runs up and stops the momentum to then act like he's going to get a bulldog on the guy from behind, and he's not running fluidly to then do it and go.
Right.
It's a run up,
It's
stop, grab head and neck, and then then we go down.
It's the Natalia spinning clothesline that I always talk about.
It's very much like that.
Right.
It's halted. It's staged. It's not my cup of tea.
Doesn't work for you.
Mike Lucas in the chat says Joe Hendry, I believe, was TNA's delayed response to Elias.
But weren't they kind of happening at the same time? Like Joe Henry was doing all of the musical stuff out all over in the indies, and then I think those are probably overlaps, but I don't know.
TNA, to their credit, they've always had the internet's favorite funny wrestling person.
Right.
Or if not, the next one that there is. Like,
right.
They didn't have Colt Cabana.
Right.
But they've had Grado.
Right.
They've had, they've always had some
Broken Matt Hardy for a while was sort of that.
Yeah, like they've always had somebody that's been the funny thing.
Right.
And something going on. And so it's great that Joe Henry has a job and he has an outlet to do all this stuff. It's not for me.
No, it wasn't for you.
Wasn't for me. Maybe it will be someday. But yeah, to just go through some of the show.
Yeah.
Steve Macklin, who was someone new to me, and Mike Santana defeated the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz.
Right.
It was nice to see Mike Santana from Proud and Powerful in the Inner Circle.
Yep.
And I'd love to hear his comments on Jericho these days.
He had a nice entrance too. I did see that, him like through the crowd, and it felt like a fun homecoming sort of thing.
And we want to like you.
Right.
He did have presence. He did seem like a step above.
Right. He felt like
seemed like someone who's
amongst some of those. Yeah. Yeah.
And someone who's been other places and went like, yeah, I picked some stuff up.
Right.
I know how to connect to the crowd a little bit better. I know overall he's got a better set of tools.
Right. Right.
And he looked good. The other guys are all right. The Rascals don't do a lot for me. There felt like a bunch of people that if you said they're all in the Rascals, that'd be like, okay.
They were in
These
AEW
guys were
for a minute, right? And they were a big hot thing for 2 weeks. Are they the ones that do? Are they the ones that do the moonsault where the other guy pushes him over his opponent?
Yeah, but I think they were in NXT.
Oh, am I thinking of NXT? That's a sign of the times.
I think Wesley might have been in that group too, and they kept him, but then fired another guy.
For some reason in my brain, that all happened in AEW. Maybe because the NXT, like the sort of the post Hunter NXT and AEW were the same company. To me, they were all like colorful NXT 2.0 and AEW, indistinguishable from my opinion.
Yeah.
The Rascals with a Z, right?
Steve Macklin was a former Forgotten Son, Mike Lucas says.
Right.
Okay, so he was the one who I didn't pay attention to. But he has a look. He didn't do anything offensive. It wasn't anything egregious. It was just like, all right. That guy's got a large head. That's cool.
Right.
They're casting the next Herman Munster just by the size of someone's head. He'd be perfect.
Rascals were in AEW.
They were? Were they also in NXT?
Yes. They were MSK
Double
on
dippers.
They were MSK on NXT.
Okay.
And then did AEW shows, but whether or not they were on AEW TV or just did a bunch of the AEW shows, I'm not sure.
Do you think
we'll never know?
People running these companies can't tell the difference of who they are, so they've just hired them everywhere?
Probably.
And they just take them and they go like, I don't know. Were you on WWE? No.
Well, let me ask.
Were you on AEW? No.
Let me ask you this: is that behavior not being kind of a rascal? And furthermore, have you not forgotten the guy who was part of the Forgotten Sons? Seems to me like these people are fucking nailing their gimmicks.
I guess so. Wow. Credit where credit is due, you rascals and Forgotten Son.
Scott, I'm just going to let you know, and listeners, assuming that we're still live, my entire desktop just went black. I could see the mouse. I could see like the little finger, on my mouse, and I could still see you open on Zoom, but I cannot see the live chat at the moment.
Did you get one of those Uncle Howdy distorted
I'm
things
getting Uncle
on your
Howdied
computer?
right now. I'm getting fucking howdied.
You're getting howdied in your dutied. Well, in the chat, I'll say that Tim Redbeard says, "Do the rascals dress up like the little rascals? If not, total waste."
Oh, they should
agree.
come out with the dog with the eye patch. Was his name Spot?
Probably.
Sounds like a thing.
Remember Spanky and Alfalfa and Buckwheat?
Yeah.
Froggy?
I don't know. I don't.
The kid that talks super fucked up?
The three that you just came up with that was the extent of my Little Rascals knowledge.
Well, then we had PCO against Rich Swann with AJ Francis, who's formerly Top Dollar.
Yeah.
They let him talk a long time. And
would
something
you say
that
it
carried
was
through
too long?
to Clash at the Castle. So they chant "fuck you, AJ" at him.
Oh, lovely.
Which happened at Clash at the Castle. AJ Styles got a different AJ. So
yeah. So two different AJs.
I don't know if that's a chant that enough people knew and went like, "Oh, okay, that we can use that."
I don't know. Oh, my screen came back. Maybe it's completely coincidental. Maybe it's just, hey, don't have that name.
They, AJ Lee was going to get it someday.
Oh, especially in Scotland.
Especially. So PCO, this is a guy I'd seen a couple of times, and then Rebecca and I were trying to figure out, like, wait, this is an old guy. Have you ever seen PCO?
I have.
Talking about?
I know about PCO. I know that he became like this hot commodity on the the very popular acronym, the OWC, the online wrestling community. I like to call back things that people no one's heard yet. So, but I just I don't know where he came from. I don't know if he was like a wrestler from way back in the day who rebranded. I just know that he's this big, scary, insane guy who started doing insane shit in the indies, and people started fucking loving him.
Yeah, it was the same. Like, I had seen him a little bit and went, and I never had looked him up and just went, well, he couldn't have just appeared. You can't just start. He can't be a weird DDP that just went,
Sure.
I'm 50 years old and I'm going to start wrestling.
Right.
And while I was sitting there with Rebecca, we were talking about it, and he looked him up, and he shows me a photo and goes, is this guy? And he was in the Mounties.
Shit.
Or he's in the Quebecers, technically.
Okay.
And he was the other Mountie, like the short, stocky guy. So I had seen the guy before, but he was always not Jacques Rougeau.
So he was part of one of my childhood traumas then. You remember that story I told you, right? About getting caught in the guardrail?
Not offhand, no.
Yeah. So at a Nassau Coliseum show in 91, I don't know, I'm like 7 or 8. And it's the Quebecers versus the Smoking Guns. And I was up on the railing.
That is tragic.
I was up on the railing with a bunch of other kids, and the railing falls forward, but I couldn't get my leg out, and my leg got caught underneath so it's like I'm on the railing with my leg through the railing, and it's bent so that the railing is on top of my leg, if that makes sense. And like the security guard is screaming at me to get up.
You almost Damian Priested to yourself.
I don't know. I don't get the reference. Why are you looking at me like I don't understand? What do you mean?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
So I just have this recollection of all of Nassau Coliseum screaming at me, and the security guards yelling at me to get up, and I'm like, I can't. And then I like look up, And in the ring are the Quebecers laughing. Like, that's my childhood record. They're like pointing and like, look at this fucking kids. And then
you had a French Canadian Frankenstein monster laughing at you.
But then Bart Gunn came and lifted the fucking gate up, and then security guard on the other side
fucking knocked you out.
And then he punched me and he was like, bitch, I'm going to fucking win the greatest idea in all pro wrestling history. So PCO,
underestimate me, will you, kid?
I did not realize that that's who PCO was. Fantastic.
Yeah, so he has managed to rebrand himself. He's managed to come up with this whole other thing for himself, and it's.
Can I ask a dumb question?
It seems to be working fine. Yeah.
What does PCO stand for?
There's a couple of things. It's his name, Pierre Carl Oulet.
Okay.
And then I think it's also Perfect Creation 1.
Oh, okay.
From what I looked up.
I thought it was like a chemical.
So I think it's
like DDT. I thought it was like something that was bad for you. Like PCO is like a dangerous chemical.
Well, don't have it. If you find some,
okay.
don't partake.
All right. Well,
are you considering what Tim Redbeard said? He said his PCO signature move, the PCP.
What would that be?
Yeah, you know me.
What would the PCPs... What would that move be? Would it be like you actually drug your opponent before the match, and then halfway through it, you just like smack them?
I assume he just takes PCP and then rips someone's head off.
Oh, it's like the PCP is like the shit that Bane uses. Like he like injects himself and he gets
venom.
Yeah, there it is.
So it was fine. PCO took a sick bump or two, which that's kind of the appeal to PCO, is you see him do something pretty stupid. I've not seen him do anything with weapons or anything like that.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but he tends to dive off of something or jump off something and you go, you're an old man, don't. But it was fun to see Rich Swann. It was not fun to see AJ Francis. And they have a segment after this, which overall the kind of telling part of TNA at this point is, it's like, what is this now? We have so much competition. We have this, and we're checking back in on TNA. Like, what are you? What's going on? What is the current point of the show? Because you can look back and you're like, oh, Ring of Honor is all about competition. Like, who's the best?
Right.
WWE's fun, and there's crazy storylines, and just an identity. So you're watching the segment, and it's this gal, I don't recall her name, and I don't see it in the recap here, but this tall gal who's a wrestler, and she's got a note from PCO, and it's like, he likes her. Do you like him back? We or none.
Adorable.
And it's adorable. Yeah. And it's another staple of TNA of, hey, we got this crazy character over here, and we've got this nice gal, or vice versa. Because you've had your ODBs and your Eric Youngs. You've had Allie and fucking whoever, like all the love stories of like, oh, come on, get together, silly characters. And it's clearly working well enough, and she's milking it. And then I do like him. Yay, she likes this monster guy. But they don't have an out for it. They came up with whoever's booking it now, because I don't know, because everything keeps changing.
Right.
The segment ends of like, I like him, and he's going like, yeah. And then they just kind of stop. They don't have a button of someone wrangling this thing going, okay, then we need the moment where you decide to hold his hand.
Right.
And you look at each other and it's sweet. Or you give him a hug or anything.
Yeah, it's finding the beats. You got to find all the beats so that the audience slowly gets the satisfaction of joining you through the beats.
And it really feels like the performers in the ring go like, I don't know how we're supposed to end this. No one told us what we're supposed to do. And it just kind of, you see them standing in the ring for a little bit, and then it cuts to something else, and you go, yeah, they just walked to the back, and someone probably has it on their phone going like, I don't think they really like each other. And they're going to post it on TikTok. Everybody's going to see it. It's like, no, you can't do it like that.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was a moment where
just bad
I don't
presentation.
fault the performers.
Right. They didn't have directors.
Yeah, I fault the people not seeing the overall, what we take for granted, even on an AEW, right? Where the moments still happen.
Right.
And in WWE, they certainly happen.
Sure, of course.
Where you get those segments and you get the moment that then sticks in your brain and you go, they hugged each other. They did a thing. They did something and that's their cut away. That's the last moment you need to think about. In the show, the big bad faction in TNA. Give me what do you think a threatening name is for a faction?
Oh, I know what are they the franchise? No, what are they called? I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of their name now.
I'm gonna give you the players. Moose. Alicia Edwards, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and Moose. They are
the library.
Oh, that might be better because then they could hit you with the books.
They are the board.
Well, they are when you watch them.
The insurance company.
The system.
See, I knew it was something like that. I couldn't come up with it.
The toy collector, the hardcore guy, the Florida football player, the system.
You didn't give Tim Redbeard a chance. He said the Oneaters.
We're the Wonders.
The system. I just think of Strong Bad. The system is down.
Yeah, it's not a terrible name, but in no way does it fit for them.
Well, it also sounds like a shitty ripoff of The Authority, right? Or the corporation. It's like the same kind of thing.
Yeah, but I guess so. But when I think of the system, I think you got to have something that associates with programming or a computer or your hackers or I don't know, something. But they're not the system. They all have titles. I don't know why, but it's not. They don't look like they hang out together at all. There's nothing cohesive about it. It's just like, hey, there's 4 people. 2 of them are married, and I still don't even know why that's the case, really. Alicia Edwards is intolerable. So they had the Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards fought the Nemeth brothers for the tag team titles, which I assume for former guest of the show, Ryan Nemeth, this was probably a gigantic deal. This was probably the biggest match of his career. Your brothers, everybody knows him, and it's now you are fighting with him side by side on a major platform, doing tag team title match. It was fine, but nothing was really drawing me in, and it felt like I don't think they're gonna win. They didn't win.
Yeah, and like it was. I will say of the highlights I watched, it definitely felt like I'm only going to compare it to the Bloodline because it's the most recent bad. They're in control of everything, right? I'm not saying that the Bloodline's like the best thing that's ever been done, so I'm not just trying to be like WWE did it better.
Like an evolution, yes, 100%. As well. Like they got it all.
But like, it seems like okay, this is an interesting story to tell if. Later in the evening, we're going to have a big match between Matt Hardy and Moose. And it's these kind of this faction who's like keeping the whole company under their thumb and they're interfering. And for the tag titles earlier in the evening, Moose and whoever come out and everybody kind of gets involved and they screw over the Nemeth brothers. Yeah. It's like part of the story of the evening, which in theory is good. That's like, that makes sense. But it feels like maybe the tag match should have opened the night. And also it feels like Moose should be. Fucking WWE they take all the things. I was gonna say he should be more of the final boss, and I don't mean that as in The Rock. I mean in the way that we describe hierarchy of villains because of video games. But you get what I'm saying? Like everything felt to me a little bit like, oh, we have an idea and an intention that makes perfect sense, but maybe the execution is a little wonky.
Execution's a little wonky, and I don't know if all players can carry it off. and if it really feels authentic, like how I say, I haven't watched all the programming, but I watched what I saw on the night, and that's always supposed to pull you in and be enough to want to continue.
Right.
But the system just doesn't feel real at all. It feels like Moose has a couple of cronies.
It feels forced.
And that part's fine.
Yeah. And they don't...
But that they're all on the same level, it doesn't feel...
They're not like
correct.
A cohesive unit either. It's very much like another person just puts on the NWO shirt versus... Yeah. I understand that.
So... Yeah. That, and then we talked about Kazarian and Hendry.
Sure.
Mustafa Ali fought Trent Seven.
Yeah,
Trent
I
Seven.
And I watched this match, and they were good. There were some moments where I was just like, "Oh, Trent! I really like Trent, but I think he's slowing down a little bit. Maybe some cheeseburgers."
And it went all gray.
Yeah, I like it.
He decided to go the Keith Lee route,
but he was already.
I know. I'll look like I'll aged 40 years on television.
Even in NXT UK, he was already graying and he wasn't dyeing his hair. Like he had like sort of the gray temples and like the light blondish kind of like dirty.
It was everywhere.
But yeah, I like it. I think it's a great look. I like his look.
He had that spare tire.
I don't dislike it. I don't mind. We talked about this where it was like, what's his name? Former NWA champion that we both like. Murdoch? Is that his name? Trevor Murdoch?
Yeah.
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 I want guys built like that every now and then. Like I want like the guy who's like country strong, kind of like bar room strong. I don't need like everybody to be a fucking bodybuilder.
I'm all for that too. It's the last I saw him, which was just a couple of years ago. The guy had color to his hair and didn't have that. And then you see him in TNA and you go, "Oh my God, what happened? Jesus, he took that unemployment real hard."
I feel like it might have been longer. I think it might have been longer than you think since you've seen him, but I understand your point.
Yeah, well, even still, just from the watch along that we watched, it feels like it wasn't that long. Right. It feels like a drastic contrast of this guy's been through some shit.
I mean,
and
even if it was
it's the sad guy at WrestleCon where it's like, "Oh God, they fucking fired me."
Even if it was 3 years though, if you look at me now from 3 years ago, all gray on the side, big old spare tire, bald spot I didn't have. The shit happens quick, Scott.
You got a brown mustache. I don't know.
It happens real quick. Yeah, but if you look really closely, there's a lot of little grays.
Yeah, you got some salt in your pepper.
Yeah.
But it's no Trent 7. Yeah. We're talking Trent 7 sushi. So this was all dependent upon a segment that was played before the match where I guess Mustafa Ali in not Chicago that they were in he's from Chicago and it's, "Hey, I'm pro Chicago and I love the title and I love this," even though we all know he's a bad guy. But then he done some interview on the previous Impact, and this was footage that was recovered from a phone that I guess was just shooting everyone's dicks during that segment. I don't know. And it came across like you heard the radio and the caller had his radio on too loud and the DJ is trying to go, "Turn your radio down. You're creating this echo. Turn your radio down." So the entire segment that played, because you give TNA like 2 or 3 of these per show, these things happen. But it was for a major thing, revealing that Mustafa Ali is terrible.
Right.
And he doesn't care about the title. He doesn't care about Chicago. You can kind of get that if you're really paying attention, but you tune out because it's maybe a 3-4 minute clip.
Right.
And it's all just wonky audio. They cut back to the crowd and crowd chants something like, "What'd he say? What'd he say?"
Oh, wow. That I did not. That I missed. Ooh.
So
production is everything, boys. Presentation is everything. Yeah.
So and they do a match again, like it's fine, but I don't give a shit.
Right.
I can't get, there's nothing about the presentation or something that happens. And I know that was supposed to be a segment that makes me care, but even still it was shot in a way where, like, for those with the camera on us now, we're seeing footage. It's like this. You're talking, you're just seeing torsos. You're not seeing their faces. You're not seeing any part of it. And I get it. They're adding to they didn't know they were being filmed.
It's
but
real. Yeah.
you can't see anything. How do we really invest in this?
But it's also just, it's hard to make things look naturally unnatural, right? Like you watch, I mean, look at fucking TV shows that are, look at The Office, for example, right?
Yeah.
The amount of work that goes into trying to make something look unstaged, trying to make something look organic is a lot. And even like the best of the best still fail at it multiple times because it's like, hey, how come, what camera was in the car when fucking, Michael and Dwight drove into the fucking water and we were in the car with them, but then we cut to the outside and there's no cameraman. Like even there's things like that where you go, all right, even the best of the best are still bad at this. And the reality is we've said this for ages, like wrestling companies need to invest in actual like filmmakers for the filmmaking elements of pro wrestling, or at least find the people in wrestling that have those talents. And we always talk about there's like a lower bar for like the, motion picture of pro wrestling than there is for any other thing. And we need to like, that's why when something ends up being really good, we're like, oh my God, that was so good. Not just for wrestling, but actually good,
Yeah, that wrestler's prison release video that they just had out.
Right.
I appreciate that they made a choice.
Sure.
That they said, let's film it to be more real. And everything he says is going to hit. But we couldn't hear it, so we check out. So it's a fine match. Mustafa Ali retains his X Division title. So we've got 2 titles being held onto at this point. And then ABC, the team of ABC. Do you know who they are? Do you know who ABC is?
No.
That's Ace Austin and Chris Bay.
Oh,
so
did they
AACB.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Are they the ones who faced Young and
Josh
Alexander, who I called Jason Alexander and you forgot completely existed just a couple weeks ago?
This was now the kind of where things got sad because Eric Young has this huge entrance.
Yeah.
He's wearing a Dr. Doom mask and this whole thing comes out. And this is when I first finally noticed. So he does the mask off and the lights come up and the crowd just is like,
yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, fuck yeah, Eric Young is here in Chicago. Not Chicago. We're thrilled. And I'm just noticing that left and right where a lot of guys come out and the crowd is just watching.
Yeah.
They're not reacting in big ways. They chant during the matches and stuff, but when they come out, they're not excited.
Do you think that this is a like younger TNA crowd? I don't mean younger as in age, but in like, do you think that the people who...
No, they showed them.
Do you think that people who were diehard TNAers 20 years ago are the ones that are at this show?
No, there might be a couple, but in large part, their numbers have gone down and they were steady for so long. I feel like that, I don't know at what point
that might
drop
be
off
what
happens.
it is. Because the biggest reactions were all WWE guys.
Were they?
It felt like, from what I saw, again, watching highlights, and maybe things are sweetened and maybe things are presented differently in the edit on like social media, but
there's no sweetening.
Sure. But yeah, it's a bum. EY is one of those guys, we've talked about him in the past, where like, of all of the people who I think could have been one of the top tier stars in WWE, who they just like kind of fucking squandered. And I didn't dislike their fucking group. I liked everything they had in NXT with him, and then like the call up, I feel like it was about everybody but him. And then, it just kind of fizzled in a way that nobody cared about. I don't know. I just feel like he was so good at so many things, and he should have just been just one of those fucking guys. Like, there's no reason he isn't like another R-Truth, in my opinion. Like, puts on solid matches, reliable, give him comedy, give him serious, and I'm not saying he's going to be world champion forever, but like this guy should have just had every fucking year of his life booked solid with wrestling in WWE, in my opinion.
He's one of the most versatile guys I've ever seen in wrestling.
Yes.
Remember that? It's someone put out a video years ago. And I think they revealed to be a piece of trash person, but someone put out the wrestling's amazing because let's look at character of Triple H.
Oh yeah,
and what
fucking
Triple
Max.
H.
Yeah, what's his face?
Yeah,
Sax Landis.
What that video is for Triple H, it's like do one on Eric Young, because his is all the more impressive of what he's done, and the crowd has been along with him the whole time and never went like, "You're not that guy."
Yeah,
he's amazing.
Yeah,
and it bummed me out when he got zero reaction.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
And then also it feels like the show kind of felt the same. There's a lot of singles and tag matches, but they all just felt the same. And it was whatever. And then we had Jordan Grace versus
Channing Tatum,
WWE NXT Zone.
Tatum, Zaxley. I fucking hate this name so much.
Tatum Paxley. I'm looking at it. Otherwise, I couldn't. I'd do the exact same thing as you. Was like Pittum Tixley.
Chatham Taxley Tatum.
Titty Pixies.
Titty Taxley. Okay. I'm so torn on her because I think she's a good wrestler, but it's too much. The performance is too much. You need to reel in the drama of everything that you do. This is
of all this,
it's just too much. But then the reality is like when it comes to the execution of her moves and actually like selling, she's very good. And I think there were definitely some wonky moments in her and Jordan Grace where I felt like, because I did watch most of this match and I felt like, I don't know, there was like something that was just out of sync. Maybe it's because they're not working road shows. You get to figure Chaxley is working in the Performance Center with all the women in NXT. And I'm sure Jordan is there occasionally at the Performance Center because she's been on NXT recently, but probably maybe just doesn't have a familiarity. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely some disconnect, but I still like both of these women. And I think Jordan's great.
This won 11 minutes. I have no idea why it won 11 minutes. Wow. In no way looking at these two side by side does it feel like Channing Tatumsley had a chance.
Right. That is true. I understand that.
So,
but she hit her face. She hit her face under the ring on the ringside thing. And was able to capitalize on it by doing nothing afterwards.
And it seems like the momentum is going here with Jordan Grace. People are taking notice of Jordan Grace now. Yeah. So why not have her just be totally fucking dominant?
Yeah. Well, do you want to know why? Because it was, if that's the case, it should have been like an old TNA star who came back and answered the call, because I don't think they're going to have her look dominant when it's this partnership with WWE and like our person goes there, looks good. Your person comes here, looks good, blah, blah, blah.
Send somebody shitty though.
Right.
Send somebody that's not that, because that was the other thing. The expectation, I think, from the crowd was pretty high.
Right.
That someone's answering the call. It's a mystery person.
Yeah.
And then they go, wait, huh?
Not even main roster WWE. We're talking NXT, the developmental.
Yeah, that's their 47th best gal, and they have 45.
Right. No, I understand that. But also, I don't think
you can't hype a mystery person.
But was it even a mystery? Because she's been on, like, she was the one who cost Jordan her NXT Women's
That's how they presented
title
it,
shot or something like that. I guess it's that thing where it's like anybody who was watching would have known who it was because they're the ones in the feud, the cross promotional feud. So I don't know. Yeah, I get it though. But I know.
You just say it's her.
Sure.
And get rid of the expectation.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Main event, to the credit of all things that was bland and kind of lifeless in the rest of the show. This was a Broken Rules match for the TNA World Championship with Moose and Broken Matt Hardy. So when they bring out all the stuff to smack each other with tables and chairs and all that kind of stuff, it felt different because nobody else did it. Hardly anybody else even fought on the outside.
Right.
So that was a nice, refreshing thing to know.
Break up the night.
Hey, it's the main event.
Right.
Nobody else do this stuff. And then it'll be crazy. And with the exception of they do the ring entrances for both guys and they say the world champion Moose. And everybody goes, nothing.
Nobody cares.
Just fucking flat as all could be. The match, everyone livens up for.
Yeah. And there were some spots that were definitely that fucking superplex onto the chairs. I know that it's probably not the biggest spot of the night when it comes to like the spectacle, but when it comes to the pain, God, that shit fucking looked so bad.
And there are a few moments where Matt is setting things up and you're looking at him and going, dude, you're old. Don't do this anymore. Stop. You took more of these bumps than anyone ever should. Collectively, maybe the whole locker room.
Yeah.
Collectively, you've taken more. Just cut it out. So those spots weren't fun to see the Twitter highlights of like, oh, look, they did that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Rebby came out at one point.
Looking like
she was known as Rebecca.
Looking like a completely different human being.
Yeah, and they're really emphasizing like, it's Rebecca. It's Rebecca. Isn't it Rebby? Isn't it that crazy person on Twitter? No, it's Rebecca. All right. Whole craziness of she ends up trying to help Matt because Alicia Edwards is getting involved.
Right.
The other guys have been thrown out.
Yes.
Or fought off.
Yeah, because the Nemeths came out and took them off of the apron to even the odds. So essentially what happened was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn came out to take the other members of the bloodline because they got rid of the fucking Usos and whoever else. So that way the main guys could have.
And then Alicia Heyman was there.
Yes. Alicia Heyman came out.
And Brandy Rhodes came out.
But got fucking speared through a table. And then the world's shittiest husband doesn't even check on her. Does not even.
He's in a world title match.
Care. He spears his wife through a table, leaning in the corner, gets up and goes, yeah, but what's Moose doing?
I mean, we all know that they've had assault charges against one another. They've had 911 called on them. So
do we
that's
all know
nothing.
that? I didn't know that. We did
that's
not
just
all
a
know
Friday
that.
night.
Not everybody knew that. I had no idea. Really?
Yeah, that's the thing. They got mushcats and they've been fucking punching each other in the face.
That's news to me.
Well, he didn't know, Sue.
Were they working punches?
He didn't know. So, it's a whole thing, yada yada. Moose ends up with the victory, and then they decide to beat down Matt and the family more. Then he protects his wife. He then covers her, trying to help her out, and it's consistent because when Brother Nero comes to the rescue, by God, Jeff Hardy says hey to the crowd and slowly walks out with the weapon in hand that he's taken the time to paint backstage. And is never in any rush, whether it's AEW
or WWE
or TNA, to come to the rescue of his brother.
I will say that has to be the world's most successful stock music bought library fucking song. Is the song better than the Hardy Boys are at this point? Because when you talked about people not getting a reaction, I mean,
this was certainly different.
Oh my God.
This got a massive reaction.
Music hits.
The fishnets went flying.
That music hits and the place goes fucking ballistic. And I even go like, fuck yeah, cool. Like there's that music does so much heavy lifting for these two men in their late in their career. It's one of the best, purchased music of all time. Every time it pops up on TV or in a fucking commercial for fucking Geico or whatever, I'm always just like, oh, the Hardys. Oh, no, that's right. They don't own this. Nobody owns this music.
But playing that music this is what we want.
Yeah.
We know the time is wrapping up for these two in ring. Mm-hmm. When we see it and we see these two together, that's what we want. And I'm all for like them doing Broken and Brother Nero stuff. But it seems like this might be a year, maybe 2 years tops, but then they're going to WWE and they're closing out with either the greatest tag team run and then someone beats them and lift it up and the Hall of Fame and all that, or just Hall of Fame.
Just or like one goodbye, like a feud, one big feud at Mania that's their final, and then the following year the Hall of Fame kind of thing. But
it's there was a nice capper to the night of a lot of, oh God, so these guys win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you want me to pay $50 later?
Right.
I don't think so. So wasn't great. Main event, kind of all right.
I want to say one thing about the main event and about Moose. Moose has always been hit or miss for me. It's just something about his face that I just he's kind of cute. He's not scary looking. And there's times where he's doing stuff in the ring and I'm just like, oh, he's kind of has like a cute little baby face. Like I think that he's not menacing looking. When he put the football helmet on, I went, fantastic. Now I'm scared of him because I can't see his cute little face.
So you think Moose is too cute?
I think it's like he's cheeky. I don't know. There's something about him that I'm hit or miss, but I want to say this dude takes Twist of Fates fucking so strangely that they look fantastic. Because by the way, there was like 25 Twist of Fates in that main event, and I only saw the highlights. I felt like they did way too many of them. Even Rebby got one in. I'm sorry, Rebecca got one in. But he takes them and like he takes them. I remember, who was it? Oh, was it RVD? The way RVD takes RKOs on his face.
DDTs in general. So
okay,
that goes along with that.
But
so an RKO is a higher DDT.
Yeah. Honestly, it felt like that, and I will say every time that they gave him one, I went, "Oh, jeez." And so I don't know, Moose. I enjoyed watching Moose get beat up in this. It was a fun watching him selling and stuff. But yeah, I understand your point.
Yeah, I had hoped for more. I'd hoped to gravitate towards a couple of guys, but I don't know. I think it'll be I'll check in later sometime. I'm not compelled to watch the pay-per-view. I'm not compelled that if they're going to go like, we're going to do this match with the Nemesis and the Hardys and this, and they're going to take down the system. I think
there's legs there and there's an idea there. You've just recently gone back to calling yourself TNA. You've got EY there. You've got all these people who were, stars in the company once before. It feels like this system would be nice if it was a heel stable of older TNA guys. Not every single one they have, but just like, right? And it's sort of like the gatekeepers. They're the people who are like, this is our company. We've been here, or we were here. Maybe not. We all stayed here, but like, especially with Moose at the helm, because Moose is like the TNA guy of this entire company at this point. At least in my eyes, somebody who hasn't watched it like a ton, but it seems like whenever I do, Moose is there. He's a constant.
Yeah, he never left.
Yeah. And then you have,
I think
the rival
system.
Go ahead.
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
Vince Russo. Eric Bischoff. Dixie Carter.
All right, never mind.
That's the system.
I'm going to stop pitching.
I'm sorry, did I not name a bunch of people that have run that company?
I'm stop pitching my idea now because there's no point, because nothing is going to live up to that fucking greatness. Only if Dixie Carter is the mouthpiece.
You think she hasn't talked on that show plenty?
I know, that's why I want her to, I want her to constantly be grabbing the mic from Vince Russo.
Well, they're going to be in love.
Are they not already?
No.
All right. Well, we've literally
Sadly
done an entire show just on the TNA pay-per-view, and we said we were going to talk about both. So do you want to just make this an extra long show and cut some of the stuff we were going to do after this? Okay, great.
Well, the nice part is it's less matches overall for the other one. So
sure.
For WWE Clash at the Castle.
So, overall, but before we get there, what's your overall? I know you said the overall takeaway, probably going to check in later, but like, if you were to give this like highs, lows, what was your favorite thing? What was your least favorite thing? What was your,
It was a struggle through it. Constant check-ins with Marks. Like, we're doing bits, so that's fun. But I'm looking at the times of these matches and I'm going, this felt way fucking longer. That one felt way fucking longer. Right. It felt really long. It wasn't fun. The idea that later they do charge $50 for a show seems really difficult to wrap my head around. Right. It's the highlight was the main event. And nice additions of like seeing PCO in action and seen a couple other people where I go, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Not to the point where I'm going to check out the show on a regular basis, but it was nice to see Broken Matt Hardy. And Tatum Paxley, I don't give a shit.
Right on.
You?
From the highlights, looked like a lot of fun because I only saw the highlights. But I will say it did look like what you're telling me about people not reacting to entrances is a little surprising because it did seem like the crowd was really cool. It seemed like they were into it. I liked that it was the size that it was. You know, my love for the small crowd. I love the old NXT Full Sail arena. Like it looked to me like a really fun energy. But again, I saw the finishing moves. You know what I mean? Like,
and in matches, people were more responsive than they were overall. Right. But did they get proper breaks? Did they get proper
And I liked the look of it.
Right
too.
lulls.
Yeah.
That's hard to say.
Right on. Well, over in Scotland, an exact opposite in terms of scale for the show. Yeah. We had a great big clash in a castle. Excuse me.
Not a castle. False advertising right off the bat.
Clashing in the arena.
Stadium.
Clash in the stadium. I know that you loved this show from beginning to end because you love when an audience like really sings a lot and like is very vocal and does
different
bits. Yeah.
I know you're making a bit, but this is entirely different.
Yeah, you liked it?
I don't like when a crowd sings nonsensical, dumb bullshit that has nothing to do with the show.
Okay, but you like it when it has to do with the show.
We hate shoes, we don't wear shoes. Shoes are the worst. But
that has to do with the show because they're making fun of. They're doing a bit about the wrestler, the heel wrestler they don't like.
They're fucking singing dumb, weird songs that don't. There's no thing. They're just singing about other shit, or they're singing soccer chants that don't have anything to fucking do with the show. That they're making it about themselves. It's dumb. Okay. If they're taking one of their songs that they do for chants at soccer games and they're inserting a wrestler's name in it, they're chanting the wrestler's name. Great. Right. You love the wrestler. That's fine. That's on brand.
Okay. All right.
Totally fine. They did it like once or twice, but it was shit I didn't care about, so it didn't matter. Right. But they were singing on brand for a wrestler and chanting for a wrestler. Fantastic. Did they run out of ideas real fast? Yes. Yes, they did, because they had the Cody Rhodes one and they're like, I don't know. Do we just make it with Sami Zayn?
It's the same amount of syllables. Okay.
Do we do it with Drew McIntyre as well?
Too many syllables.
Well, we got the one song.
Mike Lucas in the chat says, he mentioned it in a Discord, but he feels this crowd was better than France, in his opinion.
100%. France, they were doing all the dumb shit. They were doing all the cheese is better than you think it is. We like cheese. Fuck your bread.
Wow.
What?
I can't believe they had so many English chants in France. I figured they would be chanting in French.
Well, they don't speak French. So that was fine. That didn't bother me. I like the Cody Rhodes. People talk about did the Joe Hendry song stick in your head? No, the Cody Rhodes song stuck in my head. Right. I appreciated that one.
Well, yeah, they opened with Cody and AJ in an I Quit match, which is always, I feel like that's like the last man standing where it could go either way as far as like being a little bit draggy, because it's like, ask him if he wants to quit. And then the ref has to go over and go, do you want to quit? Do you want to quit? And then the person, you wait a couple seconds to build suspense, and then they go, no, I'm not going to quit. And then the guy has to go back to him, and it feels like it could get a little monotonous.
Oh, not for me.
But,
I see your point for last man standing, but it doesn't fly that way with I Quit for me. But it reminded me, and I think it's Backlund and Bret Hart with special guest referee Piper.
Okay, right.
Which is the funniest one, because that one has, Piper's always asking, the guy in peril, like, do you quit? Do you quit? No.
Right. Okay.
After enough times, there's a time where Bret's got a submission move, and I think it's Backlund. He's asking Backlund, do you quit? And Backlund goes, no. And then he just turns to Bret and goes, do you quit?
so good.
And Brett looks at him.
Why would
and he doesn't break, but all the real life, what the fuck are you doing? Comes across and he goes, no.
I want to see that. I don't have a recollection of that. That must have been post the towel being thrown, right? When it was like, no one's going to quit for you. You have to quit yourself.
Probably, yeah.
Well, that's fun.
I thought this match of the year candidate, hands down.
Wow.
Like fucking perfection, escalation, the moments, everything about it was outstanding. Loved it.
I did not see this one in its entirety. I only caught like the tail end of it. But I want to go back and give it a rewatch, which maybe I'll do here in the next 48 or so. Especially if you say it's that good.
I don't know if I could just nitpick, but man, did I love it. AJ turned it up and was so fucking evil. He has a moment where he really turns it up. So he's getting face to face with Mama Rhodes and screaming at her, and she slaps him a few times, calls him an asshole, all kinds of stuff. Like she's into it. And he goes and grabs a chair and then goes back and confronts her.
Right.
And it feels great. Like he's losing control. This is an I Quit match. It is about losing control. They're thinking that Cody can't lose control.
Right.
And it's not about Cody coming and making the rescue. It's about like AJ pulling himself back in and going like, there's a title on the line. There's all this stuff on the line.
Right.
And the commentators, pitch perfect with screaming like, stop, no, what are you doing, AJ, bring it back. Right. Just it's so hard to think AJ can get to another level,
right?
Because he's so fucking great. Like even the moment they throw the chair to his face, did you see this moment where the table's set up outside?
Oh.
But AJ is so good at deflection and making you think about other stuff. There's a table set up on the outside that's been there for a little while. Kind of forget about it, and AJ's going to do the dive and forearm off the top rope, do that springboard, and Cody throws a chair in his face. He takes the hit, bounces off the ropes, and makes it all look like things went way too far accidentally.
Right.
But he knows exactly what he's doing, and then falls onto the table in a way that's not this.
I jumped from
fall.
Where I was to hit the table. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a perfect storm of like hit with chair,
stumble,
bounce off ropes onto the table in a unusual way. Fucking, and
that Havoc engine
capture it in a way that looks like they just happened to get it. Not the
we had a camera already
exactly
lined
that
up.
This moment was going to happen, and we got it. It was fucking perfect.
But speaking of your springboard, the attempt, I saw this online, and Tim Redbeard mentioned it in the chat here, saying that he shared a video on Discord that I'd seen, that apparently there was an issue with the top rope all night, and that in the beginning of the night, AJ mentioned something to the referee, and there's a video of him saying like there's something wrong with the rope, like it's too loose. Yeah,
the referee.
And then all night,
I saw that.
And then all night, people were flubbing top rope spots, and they or like springboard spots, and they're saying like, well, yeah, they never fixed it, and there was an issue with the ropes all evening. I'm just thinking,
what else was it? Like Jade Cargill, I don't blame the rope.
No,
for that.
she had too much momentum. She had too much forward momentum. She didn't jump up. She jumped forward. She was never going to make that, but she recovered nicely. You don't think so? I think
she did.
Yeah, I don't remember who was in the ring at that moment, but they got on her. She fought it off. It wasn't like, oh, let me stop and let you hit me now because I know you were supposed to hit me with the springboard. Like it felt organic. It felt like a mistake was like she fucked up and then got back on top of it. Versus like trying to, because
that match got terrifying.
A lesser woman would have went back outside and tried to do it again, because that's the big problem with some of the women in WWE. They're like, I have to do that spot that I fucked up.
Did you see that match in full, or you just see highlights?
I saw that match from that point on, or a little bit before that and on.
Okay. I thought it got fucking terrifying. Cause then she kicks somebody and falls for a powerbomb because she loses her footing, and was lucky that person folded themselves up.
Right.
because that could have gone way wrong. Something happens with Shayna. Like there's 3 or 4 things that happen in a row where they keep going fast. And
see, I didn't mind. I felt like it was like a nice kind of chaos. Like it felt like there was an urgency to it. I liked it. I actually liked that match. I liked the ending of that match too, really well.
Oh, it was blown thing after blown thing, and things were getting weird, and kicks were being missed. Jade tried to kick someone else that Bianca was holding.
That I
and then,
think
like,
I recall. Yeah,
almost fell down again. It was a lot, and then you gave it to the other ones, the ones that should have been pinned. They won the titles, so that's a thing.
I like them as champs.
Albert Fire and
Isla Dawn.
Isa got a lisp.
You're mean. They gave it to the hometown champs. Don't worry, they'll lose it on Raw.
The hometown champs.
I'm sorry, the hometown heroes.
Championships to hometown champs.
Heroes. What I meant to say. I like them as champions.
Not
they
heroes.
actually feel like a tag team. I'm not mad at that.
This is I don't know. This to me, this happens with WWE and tag teams a lot, where they go, we got a new tag team. How do we make them credible? They win the titles right away.
Not new though.
Nobody really knows or gives a shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I disagree with your premise, but I understand your point.
Why? They're totally new and nobody knows anything about them.
Is that the case? I mean,
They're just called
familiar. I guess that's what it is. I guess they've just been around for so long in the company and other fashions, but
in NXT.
Sure. But I didn't even watch. But I haven't even watched NXT 2.0, and I know them perfectly well. So they've been around for a long
both
time.
Of them perfectly well.
Yeah, the Alba Fire used to be one of the 12 women that all have the sort of the same name. I don't remember whether it was Kylie Ray, Kay Ray Lee. She was one of those. Thankfully, they changed her name. Don't love what they changed it to, but they changed it. And she was a NXT UK Women's Champion. Isla Dawn was a former champion as well. They tagged together in NXT pre 2.0 and pre Colors. They've been around for a while. In fact,
and the other small stuff. So you know them from that, and they're brand new, and this is the identity that they have is, look, they won. So,
all right, then.
And they weren't dominant. They got the sneaky win.
The sneaky victory, yeah.
But
I dig that.
They treat it like, they're equals and they're good gals. Like, why are they not cheaters?
Well, because they were in Scotland. They were home. So there'll be cheaters in America next week.
I hope so, because otherwise I don't think this is going to work.
Well, they're probably just going to lose the titles. Let's be honest.
That's fine. So that happened. Then what was next?
Gunther. I'm not Gunther. Gable and Sammy.
Gunther.
I don't know if that was next, but that was one of the matches.
Okay. I enjoyed this one. This was a solid match.
I really liked it. And I haven't been watching the weekly shows. I've seen people on the Discord complaining that the same exact thing is happening every week. I can understand that if that's the case, this is tiring. But since I haven't been seeing it, watching all of the stuff with Otis not wanting to disappoint Gable, but also not wanting to do the wrong thing, and Maxine being sort of the victim of all of this and being asked, like, I thought all these beats are great. Talking about the whole thing with PCO and like, we don't know how to end this with the holding hands, like finding all of those beats, like this is where WWE is doing that really well. They're finding all of those beats. Now, of course, I haven't been seeing it every week, so maybe they're finding it too frequently.
Not everybody can do them,
sure.
But yeah, they made the moments happen. Yeah. Whether or not Maxine reacts when her leg gets chopped. She didn't. Do you catch that?
No,
I
missed that
for a few seconds.
I missed that.
She gets knocked to the ground. And goes like, "Oh, my leg."
And then later starts grabbing it.
Even in the recap, they just cut it.
Oh, they were like, she didn't sell.
At the video package at the end, they're like, she gets knocked down. That's enough, because we don't want to then cut again to when she reacts. It was, I like this crowd was so behind Otis, and they want Otis to do something about it. Yeah. and that's still clearly a slow burn where, if the OWC, as you put it, is like, enough, just do it already.
Yeah.
This felt like this would have been it, but
yeah,
he gets Maxine out of harm's way, as they say, even though that once the match
he's
ends,
just standing there,
Otis stops
5 feet from the ring. I think,
it's like, well, I gotta wait. It's not like there's a bunch of walkway that they could still catch my reaction.
Mike Lucas, the biggest problem with Otis splitting from Gable is what's next, and Otis' solo run will only be so hot. Yeah, I mean, I think the Otis versus Gable is going to be a big thing, but whether they can do something, I mean, or we're just in, Mizdow area here all over again, where it's like, we want to see the guy turn on the guy because we like that guy better, but then he does it and we love it. And then what's next? I don't know. Does he talk? Is he the same character? I don't know. I still feel bad for Otis.
People
over
like
Mandy
Otis
Rose
enough for a while that, when he breaks off from someone, that people would still care about him enough.
Right. I mean, one could argue that like having that fantastic story with Mandy all those years ago ultimately be destroyed because nobody was in the fucking arena when they kissed or whatever that moment was supposed to. I can't remember. I just remember it being disappointing because it was Thunderdome, right? Maybe attempt to recapture some of that with Maxine.
He just likes blondes.
Yeah. Blondes and burgers.
I mean,
that used to be steaks and weights.
Nothing wrong with that.
It used to be steaks and weights. Now it's blondes and burgers.
I think the only disappointing thing about this match was Gable's a little subdued. This crowd is so manic. The crowd is so hot. It's such a big stadium. And all of his anger, all of his rage on people, it was always at a 7.
Yeah.
And it never escalated higher. He never really blew his top. He never really flipped out on Zayn. He didn't crank it up that much more. His wrestling's fantastic.
You mentioned him earlier in the episode. Do you want to know who Gable could use a little bit of? He could use a little bit of Bob Backlund right now. Like a little bit of that, just like, you mother, like just absolutely crazy. Like, I will say, like,
Losing
the moment
on Maxine or Otis, like it had to be different.
The moment when Maxine doesn't hit Sammy with the belt and Gable's just stares. And it's like the ref at this point should catch what's happening. Yeah. Like, if the irony, of course, here is that if he's bigger and crazier, it gives the ref more reason to be like, what are you doing? Which gives her more time, which creates more of a will she, won't she for us, the audience, of is she going to hit him? Is she not going to hit him? Like, yeah, everything is happening a little bit too dry in that moment. Whereas if things are bigger, it's more misdirect. It's like you said earlier, somebody was really good at making you look someplace else. Like, this is that. But I don't dislike Gable, but yeah, I could see like it needs to be.
I
a little
don't
bit
either,
bigger.
and I feel like, especially a crowd like that, it's hey, go spend a minute or two and go yell back at them and get into it and get pissed off, and then watch that footage back and go, you see that? See how you're kind of losing it? Now control it.
Right.
And just do it. So it was a really solid match, though. I did think Gable was going to win it, so they sucked me in.
Oh, did you? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't,
because it felt like if he doesn't win it now, then
I don't think he's going to.
What's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't think it's. I never saw this program as Gable winning that title. I saw this program as setting Gable up as a heel for the other members of his group and other people. But I never saw this as Gable actually getting that title.
More abusive and toxic relationships.
Yeah. Tim Redbeard in the chat. Do we see Gable actually smack Maxine, or just keep this fear that he might, but never actually do? I mean,
smack the back of her leg.
No, I think you give her a smack. That's heat, baby. That's real life heat. And also imagine Otis getting his hands on her.
Grab her hair. That's what you do. Grab her by the back of the head and go and just like do that. And that's when Otis like finally fucking clocks him in the face.
Yeah.
Because it could be, and he could even be like, he's going to hit her. Right. But if it's a grab, and then you feel like that's going too far.
Because then what happens?
That's it.
Is then you book the next pay-per-view, Maxine on a pole match between Otis and Gable.
Careful, that might be the post WWE career.
Well, what else was there?
For Otis or Maxine.
Sure. What else was there?
And then we had Bailey versus Piper Niven with Chelsea Green.
Yes, which I know you're not a big Piper Niven fan. I like her a lot. I like it when she's mean. But yeah,
talk about
this
Chad Gable not turning
they
up.
did. Yeah,
holy
these
shit!
two didn't really have a good chemistry.
No,
and I like both of them, but
Chelsea Green did some fucking heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And I was mind blown by why initially she was thrown out so early, and I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me!" Piper Niven can't
out there.
She can't pick a lane. Why are we getting rid of Chelsea? Oh, she came back later in a luchador mask.
Yeah,
with Barrett going like that could be anyone.
That's a good bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it's
solid bit.
The thing about the international pay-per-views that is really funny to me is that like all of the international stars are heels, but then they want to make vignettes and packages pre-match where it's like, I just want to come home and wrestle with my family. And you go like, yeah, no, this is good. I'm happy for these people. But then it's like, boo, what do you want from us? Like the Drew, to this day, like I'm glad they went to Scotland. I'm glad Drew was in a main event in Scotland, but like, what do you like? I don't want to cheer Drew. I definitely don't want to cheer him fucking now against, but like, it's all very confusing.
I don't think so.
No, because I feel like Piper is that thing where it's like, we want to just boo Piper because she's bad, but also.
And you can, but that crowd isn't.
Sure.
It's like Puerto Rico or any of these other ones where
it's
you go.
Canada.
Yeah, they love them because that's their person. But you come back here, I'm gonna boo the ever loving shit out of you.
Fair. Maybe it's just because maybe
I think they're doing a good job
because
of
it was so many
establishing.
People. Maybe that's why.
Yeah,
like too many on the same show. Like you literally have 3 that I could think of, right? Between the new ladies tag champs, Piper Niven and Drew McIntyre. There's 3 different like,
it's 4 people.
Sure, but I'm counting the team as one. Like we're gonna see.
Ooh, counting 2 women as one person. Canceled.
You can't even name them.
Albert fired, and I love the Dawn.
Yeah, you got it. I do love the Dawn.
Yeah, they didn't have chemistry. This felt like it went on too long. Yeah, there's a lot about it. It's like Bailey's not going to lose this. Chelsea Green is doing so much. I don't know. Piper doesn't emote. Piper doesn't express. I don't know what's going on with her. She seems more capable. It always seems like she's just really shy. And it doesn't seem like this should be. She doesn't seem like she's a good performer overall, like a good actress. I don't believe any emotion that she's feeling other than maybe like I'm overwhelmed and this crowd's cheering for me and I want to cry. Like I'll believe that. Everything else I don't believe. I don't believe there's a fierce bone in her body.
Interesting.
I don't believe any aggressiveness.
I thought the moment was really good of her in Saudi when she angered on Bailey in Saudi. I was like, yeah. I felt the legitimacy there. I felt the scariness. No,
I don't remember.
All right, that's fair.
You talking when Nia Jax fell on somebody?
No.
Oh, I don't remember. Final match, main event, and I didn't. They kept saying Drew's gonna main event. Drew's gonna main event. I'm like, no, he's not. This is gonna be fucking Cody and AJ. What are you talking about? Oh, all right. Well played.
Yeah, I think.
It's Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre for the other world championship.
I think that this was smart booking because I don't know about you, but I didn't think there was a chance in hell Cody was losing to AJ. And so if there's a question that, yeah, Drew might win and like put that on last, like,
yeah,
I know that wrestling is all just a silly thing and we're all just taking guesses at all the time, but sometimes you can almost assure the way things are going to go because of storytelling. And I think that with AJ and Cody being the WWE title match and us going, oh yeah, fucking foregone conclusion, then it's a smart move putting it on first and giving people a good show. That way the night ends with who knows how this is going to go.
Yeah. Did you watch this one
I
in
did.
full? Okay. So when you told your story about the Quebecers, and you losing the footing and being trapped in the railing and all that.
Got it.
I was referring to Damian Priest trying to jump over the top rope and getting caught for a long time. And someone who played it off great, Drew, like, cause he got hit a little bit and he went down, but then a quick up and I'm going to start kicking you and I'm going to start doing other things to you. You figured out with the ref and I'm going to gloat and do this. Oh, you're still not out, huh? All right. I guess they'll figure out a way as this guy to get you up and out of this. And kudos to Damian for selling it the whole time, whether if he was because it was that bad or just knew to milk it. I think they did a great job of running with it and in the moment and doing all of it. That was an excellent added surprise to the match.
I mean, also considering that he didn't snap his neck, which is nice because
oh yeah, I thought he knocked himself out.
That's fucking scary.
That
like
head hit the apron.
Yeah, that's a spicy meatball, to say the very least.
Yeah. But overall good. Didn't expect there to be a schmoz thing at the end. You know, they were fucking with the referee a little bit.
I loved it so much.
Ending up knocking him out, knocking him onto the barricade. And I love that the choice that they made of how to shoot this and how it was all revealed that Drew's asking for another ref to come down and ref slides in and the camera's behind this action. Yep. So we see the pinfall and then we see a ref slide into frame and they're wearing long sleeves underneath the ref shirt. And in that moment, I'm going like, who is this ref that's wearing?
Oh, really? You questioned it? I caught the shoe.
I questioned it because also TNA has a fucking idiot ref that has
the raglan sleeve. Oh, yeah, right.
One sleeve all the way. He's got Zack Ryder pants, but for a shirt, he's got one long sleeve and one no sleeve.
Cover up his new tats.
It's idiotic. So that was in my brain where I'm going like, what is this now? We got referees with long shirts. What? And it's a 1, 2. The count stops.
Yeah, but the pin doesn't stop. Just the count.
The pin is up, and Drew looks over at him, and it is underplayed initially,
right?
But it builds. It's like Gable stayed at this level the whole time of being mad. But Drew's seething and taking it in of, oh my God. Right. And it cuts back to, because there's a great moment previous that led to this, because I wouldn't have thought about it otherwise, that Drew at the announcer's table did this.
Yes. Yeah.
He raised up the two fingers.
Which is like the middle finger in your.
At the crowd. Yeah. And then one of the commentators was like, do you know what that means here? It means something different.
Yeah.
And they didn't show it straight on. And then Punk's holding up, the camera cuts to Punk, and Punk is holding up the two fingers, and he goes, "That's for you, buddy."
It's so good.
And he's going, "Oh, it's not just a 2 count." He's so saying, "But especially fuck you."
There's so many levels to this that I enjoy. First off, did you see the video that they released, the behind the scenes of it that WWE released?
No,
it's so funny. So it's a video of Punk. It's all, kayfabe. It's a video of Punk. When I say behind the scenes, I don't mean the scene. You know what I'm getting at. It's
what at the castle.
Yeah. So it's Punk watching the match on the monitor, and then the ref gets knocked out, and he goes, and he starts looking around, and he starts running, and he runs around a corner, and I forget who's the white female ref. I forget her name, Sarah. Something like that.
I don't know her name, but does this go into my theory of a bunch of referees are just standing around shirtless waiting? And there's referee shirts on the pole?
But if CM Punk had his way, they would be, because he goes like, I need a ref shirt. Do you have a ref shirt? And she goes like, yeah, give me that one. Give me that one. And he wants her to give him the shirt off of, he wants her to give him the shirt off her back. And she's like, no.
PG era's over, baby.
But she was just like, no, here, I have. And so she found another one, and she throws it at him, and he goes, okay, thanks. And then she goes, what are you doing? Am I going to get that back? And he goes like, yeah, I'll give it back to you. And he's like slowly putting it on, or not slowly, he's quickly putting it on as he like rushes down. And it's just funny to me. It's a funny that we saw that stupid little moment backstage. Jessica Carr, thank you, Mike Lucas in the chat. Jessica, because he's saying, Jess, do you have that? Do you have a shirt? So I love that they show that, which is funny because it's like, this wasn't like a, this wasn't like a forethought thing. He didn't know the ref was going to get bumped.
We justified it. Like, it's fine.
But the other thing too is that like, there's people who are like, oh, he like screwed him out of the champion. No, he wasn't a referee. He didn't have any authority to count that pin. He was just there solely to fuck with Drew McIntyre. It's not like had he counted to 3, the bell would have rang and he would have won because he's not a referee.
Yeah, we've been struggling like, I'm not really the guy.
He just put on a shirt because it was funny to him.
Yeah, to fuck with him that he has the moment. God, I love it. He even has a little moment when the camera's still to the back of Punk that after the 2 count, you see him, they hold it and he does a little with his left shoulder.
He leans.
Like, he like kicked out.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was a little, like it was a kick out.
Right.
But then he's holding that too and he goes, that's for you, buddy.
Oh, it's so good.
And they get up and Drew in the best way possible, because Punk always has he's a little undersized when it comes to the world of giants of WWE. And I think this plays out especially well when Drew grabs him by the throat and fucking is just throttling him against the turnbuckle, and Punk goes up on his toes
and it clinches his shoulders and does T-Rex arms. He knows how. He's like, I'm gonna. Not only am I small compared to Drew, but I'm gonna make myself appear even smaller.
Yeah, and give the impression of Drew has lost it.
Yeah,
Drew, and he's going too far. He's strangling me.
Yeah,
and it kicks him in the balls, and then Damien ends up getting the win. The only nitpicky thing again with this is someone's got to tell these guys, because they're getting more snug with all the punches and the strikes, so that way we don't have to have the fucking crash cam anymore. So that's been a great fix in WWE. The other fix that needs to happen is post any big match or any main event that after a pinfall, the guy who's been pinned needs to stop conveying well wishes and good thoughts to the person who
not
wins.
Even that, just having a fucking 20-minute long conversation. I agree. That shit was so, and in fact, there were multiple times where I feel like guys in the truck,
they cut away.
They were like, all right, let's cut. All right, like we're ready. We're cue up 2. All right,
still doing
take 2. No, fuck, get out of 2. Take one. Like they keep. Yeah, it was just constant, and it was. Here's 2 guys with long hair. Put your fucking hair in front of your faces. That's why you have it. The reason wrestlers have long hair is to cover your goddamn mouths. And you have 2 guys who are just pulling their hair back in beautiful fucking braids. Oh my God. Oh, speaking of which, we didn't talk about it. I do love, just to go way back, I do love Jeff Hardy's Wendy's braids. Looking like the Wendy's logo when he came back. I was like, yeah, I love his little Wendy's braids. But yeah, no, I agree. Too much fucking gabbing. I get it. You want to say some shit. You want to say thanks. Moment, you want to say whatever. I'm sure that Damien knows, hey, we're in your fucking country. We never have pay-per-views here. I know that this would have meant a lot to you. Like, I'm sure. Save it for behind the fucking curtain, or just say thank you and fucking roll away. And I don't know. Like, yeah.
Beers on me. Thank you. You the man. A quick little thing, and then later, because it's that and the fucking squeezes, which I haven't seen lately. But the hey, we all fell through a thing. Like, now let's have a squeeze party. It's everybody
let the ref
squeeze,
and let the ref do it in a way with words that are like the whole point. This is like the 3rd time misdirections come up in this fucking podcast. You have to be very big with your mouth, your eyes, and your head as a referee, because you don't want people to see what you're doing with your hands, right? Or if you're doing something with one hand, you want the other hand to be waving. Look what's happening over here, everybody. Like, that's the way I was fucking taught. And so when you go to check on somebody, are you okay? Big nods. Are you okay? That way with your fucking hands, you can be checking for the pumps. You want to get them pump and dumps, baby. And yeah, there's a lot.
And you get the
there's a
dumps.
lot of a ref
Pumping dumps.
from a distance just reaching and just like, I just want to connect with you. I just want to hold your hand for a moment. But I don't know. This ending was fucking great. Those net picks aside. And fucking Punk, I do love that Punk was right next to people that were like, fuck you, all the Scottish people. But then he was like, who has a fucking Punk shirt on? And then he walked around.
Found 3 fans.
He walked around the ring to find the 3 people. But
they're like, thank you for doing this. We love you.
I will say that, like, I was just like, ooh, this is strange because it's like, we've been pro Punk and booing Drew for being a lunatic. But it's like, now Drew's in home country, the fucking hero everybody wants to win.
His wife's having emergency surgery for something.
But even when, like, there were still CM Punk chants, and I thought, like, good job, Scottish fans. I want you to like your hometown hero and also understand the wrestling show.
And if there are some of you that wants to kill, like, the show to devastated Drew fan,
Right.
he's holding his head. Like, yes, have that be the majority.
Sure.
There can still be some people who are like, we still dig Punk. He got out of there alive. But I keep using the word, but it's I can't think of something else that just fits so well.
Earnest.
The story of Punk and Drew has escalated so
It really
well.
has.
I cannot wait for these two to go at it in a match. And this is the, I will buy a ticket. I will pay the money. I want to see them fight so bad.
Yeah.
Because they're just fucking with each other to such a high degree. It's amazing.
This is like the ultimate example of an injury does not mean you're not part of the program. Like there obviously some injuries.
Work around it.
Obviously some injuries, take some time off. And also there's sometimes where an injury is just good for a wrestler's career because out of sight, out of mind, and then they come back and distance makes the heart grow fonder and all the other fucking cliches. Totally. But when you've got a guy who just came back to a company after fucking a decade and is the biggest name in wrestling at that moment in time, right? The biggest deal, came back to a company that he fucking left on shitty terms and is immediately injured. And it's like, how do we ensure that all the wind does not fall out of these sails? This is how you fucking do it.
And on top of it, from my point of view, being put in a match that I felt like is not a match I want to see. The whole him and Seth thing was not something that was very compelling to me. I felt like Seth was being the phony on the outside, and I know there's something there, but the stuff with Drew has felt genuine. It felt like there could be truth to this, and now whatever was true has escalated into the story of it all, and they've blown it up so big that
and I said
I can't
I kind of agree because I said even though I am interested in Seth versus Punk, I thought that it would be smart to keep them separated because that's the public one. That's the one that at least for the the wrestling nerds, the OWC, that we're aware that it's there behind the scenes. And so if they're not on the same show, if they're not on the same cards, or they're not really interacting with each other, and then a year down the road of 2 stories, it's the 2 of them in the finals of a Rumble. Or it's the 2. Do you know what I mean? Like then it feels that much like, oh shit, I haven't even thought about this. But what happens when these 2? And I think that to me is so much more rewarding than guy debuts, guy we know doesn't like him is upset, put them in a match immediately, and then it's done.
And for the secondary title and all that, it's like
so there's a small part of me that's glad that it didn't happen that way, just because we get to save it. But maybe some of the smoke has gone away too. Maybe it's like, I don't mind him that much anymore. I don't know. But I don't think either one of them are going to feel that way. But
will Hangman ever learn the lesson from this? This could have been you. You could have been Drew McIntyre. Could have
been you. Holy shit. That's a fucking t-shirt.
What it's
Hangman.
Like to go,
Dear Hangman Page, this could have been you. And there's a photo of Drew McIntyre.
When you want to sell tickets, have a few that people can believe and move forward. Like, do you see this could have been you? Okay. Well, Drew's doing it and Drew's fucking excelling to the sky and beyond at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not fucking wrong.
Except for those little curls in his hair. I don't know what that was about.
No, you didn't.
What product was he using that day? You know, the little things that he had for a while until he just got sweaty enough that he could just push it back and it became straight again.
Well,
but a great show. Clash of the Castle bookended amazingly, and there's certainly fun stuff in between. I didn't think any of the matches were bad. Even Bailey and Piper Niven was like, it was okay. But a 5-match show. Fuck Cody Rhodes, AJ Styles, I Quit is
I gotta watch it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I gotta watch it in its entirety. Well, there you have it, kids. You know, back-to-back pay-per-views, enter events, premium paper events. I don't know, whatever the fuck they're called. Extra long episode today.
PPVEs.
Extra long episode today. But it's not over yet, Scott, because we have a hotline call. Do you want to do that still?
Yeah.
All right. Man, this is a long episode. We're going to go take a hotline call. Those who joined us on the live stream, thank you for doing so. Once again, acknowledge Gilbert Short, a.k.a. Goliathon, PWP World Champion. We'll defend that title in just a couple of weeks here for the month of July. Yes, in July. That's how months work. If you would like to challenge him, you've got to become a championship level Palski over at patreon.com/PW Palskis. If you want to join us for these chats, you can become a patron of any tier. It doesn't matter. Every single patron gets access to the live chat and to the live stream. So please consider doing so. It's been super fun. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody who's been in here. And we're gonna go take
Happy Father's Day to you.
Oh yeah, Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
If you're a neglectful father to your children today, because you go, I did enough for the other 364 days. Let me have a day where I hang out in the chat.
So you're saying Happy Father's Day to Ric Flair. Okay, we're gonna go take a hotline call. Scott and Arvis, say goodbye live stream.
Bye live stream. Don't drink Ric Flair's energy drink. Don't do it.
747-666-5606. 747-666-5606. That's the number of the Pro Wrestling Palskis hotline. Or you can send a voice memo via email to hotline@pwpalskis.com. Scott Narver, do you want to hear what the hotline has in store for us today?
I certainly do.
Hey, Palskis. This is Chris Daria 7 from Fort Worth, Texas. It's been a minute since I've last called in, and I wish I had a big, profound wrestling topic to talk about. But in all honesty, Jake talking about Dots Pretzels got me the most excited that I've been in a while about snacks, because those are the best. You are absolutely correct. Those are the best snacks that have ever been invented, existed. Doesn't matter what, Scott. I hope you jump on this bandwagon because it's fantastic. And that's really all I wanted to say. Call it a wrestling podcast to tell you how much I love Dots Pretzels. But you know what? This is where it is. You know what? Just for funsies, give me your favorite WWE or AEW theme song from the past 5 years, from the 2020s. New star coming in. Give me a 2020s good theme, because I love entrance music. On the WWE side, it's probably going to be Trick Williams, because it's fun. And AEW, it's absolutely Willow Nightingale. Her song makes me want to dance. So, yeah. Yay, Dots Pretzels. Keep doing what you're doing, loving who you love. Peace.
Chris Daria 7 snacking on them dots. Listen, I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was something we talked about the pre-show. It is a clear, it's a step above pretzel amongst many other pretzels. It is coated in butter, and that helps immensely. Here, listen to the pre-show for the hack of what you want to do with the cinnamon sugar ones. They're good. I'm more of a chip guy, but I certainly don't mind a pretzel. But it is a reminder for all. I harp on this a lot. Snacks, along with wrestling, are key and vital. The meal, the snack, whatever it may be, it's changed now with WWE going less than 3 hours. When you're watching any other show, if you're watching an AEW show, you got to really think about things in the long haul. You got to think of it multi-course meal here. You got to go snacks, you got to go meal, you got to go dessert. Those are key, especially with company. Don't underplay it. Don't just go like got a bag of Ruffles and that's it. And there's some sodas. Like no, fucking for a fun wrestling experience. If you're just hanging out on the Discord, it's just you, the keyboard, and watch the show solo. Make sure you have good snacks for a wrestling show. Seek out some new stuff. Seek out some fun stuff.
And,
it's key.
And if you can be lucky enough to get something on brand, that's fun.
Oh, like the Mountain Dew Pitch Black when it was the Mountain Dew Pitch Black Max.
If it's get some Snickers if you can.
Get some dude wipes.
Some dude wipes. You know what? Here's the thing about Dots Pretzels is we've talked a lot about them, but we haven't explained to the people who haven't looked them up or care. They're not like pretzel shaped when you think of a pretzel. They're all twists. They're all just little pretzel sticks that are twisted. It's kind of like a little kendo stick. They kind of look like little kendo sticks.
Oh, shit.
So they're kind of like little, you could just use them to like hit each other with, and then you eat it when you're done.
If they made a big one, if they made a big kendo.
Oh my God, a giant Dots pretzel stick. The problem with that is that the seasoning to pretzel ratio would be so off that it wouldn't be good.
But think it'll look cool. It's like when Jackie Chan kicks somebody and all the smoke comes off.
That is true.
Think of all that seasoning that flies off.
Can indeed. Yes, he can indeed. He also asked a question about music. What was it? What do we like?
In the past 5 years, in the 2020s, your favorite WWE theme and your favorite AEW theme.
I mean, Jungle Boy's old AEW. Come on. It's so perfect and good for that bit and for that character and the Jurassic Express. It's very fun.
Sure. It's not my favorite.
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't really fallen in love with themes in a while. I think they're kind of mostly bad. All my favorite ones are from before then.
The WWE new themes, I don't think I like any of them.
They're rough.
AJ Styles on Clash of the Castle, I was listening to it and going, this is, I get it. I'll boo you, but I could also boo you listening to the old cool theme song.
Yeah, I didn't even like the old one, but at least it made me feel like AJ Styles.
Yeah.
This is a tough question.
For AEW, the one that comes to mind, and I'm making weird rules that don't exist for no reason for this.
Great.
I'm not using licensed music. That seems like
it's got to be
easy. I think MJF's theme is pretty fucking great.
It's
that little annoying synthesizer to start.
Yeah.
So you have that initial reaction like, this son of a bitch. This no good bastard. And then he comes out and then it picks up. It's got the drums and it's got like a little guitar to it. And whether it's a heel or face, it gets the appropriate response. You know it's him. It's not an overall great song, but I think it's a fitting theme and it's distinct and it works really well. Like he's elevated his theme.
That is true. There are some people who make the theme work for them. You know, I don't dislike Liv Morgan's.
Sing it.
It's giggling and then like a little xylophone piano kind of thing. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know. It's like it has like a kind of eerie funness, but even that, I don't think that's within. I mean, I think that was probably a holdover from pre-2020, maybe even, maybe not. Man, I'm struggling to come up with any theme that's new.
That you
In
enjoy?
fact, they've actively ruined good themes like Gunther's. Where like you had this perfect classical piece, then you're like, yeah, but we have to have guitars or else it doesn't count.
Oh, Rhea Ripley's song.
Rhea's is great. But again, I think that predates 2020.
But also I don't know the band, so I feel like that's also it's like
So
it's
it
not
counts.
licensed music if I don't know who they are. I mean, that's
agree.
like Cody's song. Like, are they a real? As my sister-in-law said, is this a real band?
Are they a real band?
When they were playing it that one time live at an AEW show.
Yeah. That was rough though.
It was
That
rough.
was real rough.
The Scottish crowd did a better live version than that band did.
You know what's sad is like the music in WWE is so bad now that I can't even think of it. Like, what's Chad Gable's music? I can't even think of it.
Shush, please.
Yeah, but that's this doesn't even sound familiar. Other than the shush, the music that you just sang doesn't even sound familiar to me.
So you got to play some more 2K24.
Yeah, probably.
Get you caught up on some themes. I think cheating because Judgment Day's theme's pretty good.
Like their collective.
Yeah. The collective one's pretty good.
It sounds like
Ripley's
them, sure.
Theme song, because that can't really be pre-2020, right? She's dark and has this.
I think it
fucking
is.
stomp and all that. Because wasn't she
because
blonde
she was doing
before that? Not weird.
Yeah, but she was still doing the exact same bit. She was doing that shit in NXT. This is my brutality.
Yeah. When this is my brutality. When did that come about? This is my brutality.
I'm gonna guess because she was brought up before pandemic to face Charlotte in the Mania. So in 2019, she was doing that.
Yeah, but that's 5 years. He said last 5 years.
But I said him before that. Yeah, I don't know. This is a hard question. I'm sorry. Listen, we would much rather talk about Dots Pretzels.
That song fucking rocks.
Okay, I agree.
That song is fantastic. That's my go-to. That MJF, those two.
You know what? Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly's music is.
Thank you.
It's very different. Okay, thank you guys so much. This has been such a super long episode because we talked about all the things that we talk about. Thanks, Chris Daria, for the
WWE makes shorter shows. We make longer shows. Right in their fucking face. What do you think about
that? If you want to be like Chris Daria and tell us what snacks you love, 747-666-5606 is the number to call. Thanks to everybody who joined us live for today. Once again, please consider becoming a patron and doing so. Make sure you're checking out all the items available in the shop now at dragonwagonshop.com. Dragonwagonshop.com. You can also find links right at pwpalskis.com, which is probably the smarter thing to promote because that's where everything else is, including links to our social media at pwpalskis, including links to the Discord, which is a completely free community of like-minded wrestling nerds. We're best place to be during pay-per-views and live shows for all the Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns and Impact Zones and whatever else you got. Check out the Discord. It's not connected to the Patreon. I know there's a lot of other shows that have a Patreon that will give you access to the exclusive Discord. That's not what we do. We go all the way around. Discord's free for everybody. So please consider joining the Discord because it's a ton of fun to be in there. Follow us all on the social media. I'm at Jake Lloyd Bacon. He's at Scott Narver. When was the last time you left a rating and review? I bet you it was a really long time ago. Please consider heading on over to Apple Podcasts, leaving a rating or review. Even if you left one in the past, you can leave another one. It'll just update it. It'll bring your review right to the top as if it was brand new. And Spotify now offers star ratings, so you can also head on over to Spotify and give us a nice star rating there, so that the Spotifyers
exercise star rating.
Yeah, give us a Meltzer 5-star. Unless you can do more than that, because
5 is no good anymore.
Maybe Spotify. Yeah, maybe Spotify. It doesn't even
8.
matter.
8.
I think that's all the business, except we do need to thank our current Patreon Palskis.
Yes, it's the only show that'll hand out Retribution names as well as Maximum Male Model names. Why? Because TNA hasn't ripped us off in doing that idea yet. So thank you to AJ0314, aka Binary, aka Metri69, Alex Pierce, aka Figs, aka Zitoys, Andrew Beeler, aka Pollen Hate, aka Achu Detest, Curtis Mason, aka Hurtis, aka Auche, Gilbert Short, aka Goliathon, aka Batal Underoos, aka the current PWP champ, Mass Llama, aka Spitz, aka Jakara Lover, Michael Beltran, a.k.a. Limestone, a.k.a. La Natural, Miguel Diaz, a.k.a. Bipod, a.k.a. Too Much Husk, Mike Lucas, a.k.a. Hackensack, a.k.a. Luge Testicle, Shay to Slay, a.k.a. Privates, Suicide, a.k.a. A.K.A. Tim Bemis, a.k.a. War Trek, a.k.a. Tussle Quest, Tim Redbeard, a.k.a. Bloodfuzz, a.k.a. Blue Diffuse, Tom Hader, a.k.a. Cupid, a.k.a. Cherub, and Tony Griggs, a.k.a. Big Griggs, a.k.a. Grand Grisois.
Thanks to each and every one of you for your continued support of the program. We hope you had fun. It's always a blast hanging out with you, the Pro Wrestling Palskis.
Internet! I'm Coy Jandro, a Bostonian who loves pop culture, comic books, and people. And I host Coycast. It's a podcast about all those things. If it fits in on a con floor, we talk about it on Coycast. Myself and producer Jake do previews, reviews, deep dives, and tinfoil hat theories about everything from movies, TV, and the comic books themselves. I also like to dish out comic recommendations from my 100-plus pull list a week so you know what's best to buy. So join us, True Believer, on Coycast.com or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now.
Dragon Wagon.